What we're going to go through is this over the weekend. So we're going to teach you how to actually buy US property. So my role and Jamie's role and the company's role is to educate you on how to actually do this eventually yourselves. So who here has already bought a US property? Okay, fantastic. Who's got more than one? Wow, fantastic. Who is looking to buy some this weekend? Excellent. So I think they've got quite a few, but I won't let the cat out of the bag. I'll let Ben do that. And then we're going to show you places where to buy and places where to avoid, and that's when Ben and Joel can come up and discuss that. And then they'll also walk you through the due diligence process so that you're able to do that yourself. As I said, Warren Black will come up and talk about tax, also finance. So we've got a really great finance model now, whereas previously we didn't have the opportunity to borrow, whereas now we've got access to US banks and you can access that finance. So we'll be discussing different finance options, which makes it easier for people. Like I've used the finance option for my second purchase because I wanted to test it. And I love OPM. You know, Jamie speaks of it all the time, other people's money. So if you can do that and if it's for you, then absolutely go for that. And then Ben and Tyler will talk about the properties that they've got available for you guys this weekend. And then who's going on the tour, 3-city tour? Wow, the majority of you. So Joel will discuss that in detail, timings, where you're going, what you're doing, and that sounds like an amazing trip. So where are you from, Penny?
I'm from Melbourne.
Melbourne?
And I've got 3 US properties already through 21st Century, so that's going great. And then I'm looking this time to invest using my superannuation, so to set up a self-managed super and to buy more US properties.
So the first ones you bought just through your own money or?
Yes, or borrowed other people's money, of course.
OPM, yes, of course.
Everybody's, the US money, and also credit cards. Oops.
There you go.
I'm allowed to say that? Only buy good debt, not bad.
Good debt, not bad.
Yeah.
And the next group you're going to do in your self-managed super fund.
Yeah, that's right.
See, now before this, did you know how to invest in this style of, like through super and stuff like that?
No. And I didn't know how to buy in the US either, so I found it really good to have the support of 21st Century in buying in the US because that's where I could trust that someone was helping me with the due diligence.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And, you know, I bought a property the same way because I'm too busy. I didn't want to come over here and look for a property. I wanted Jamie's team and Joel's team in particular to do it all for me. So what is your reason? What's your big picture reason why that you want to invest in or have these properties?
Yeah. Well, I want to be empowered in my life and I want to be able to help other people. And I see by being financially secure myself that I can have choice about what I do and when I do it and who I help and why. Yeah. So it's about the freedom of that as well.
And who have you travelled here with?
With my grandmother, who's 92, and my daughter, who's 11. So we're going to incorporate a New York and Disneyland trip as well onto the end of the tour.
Yeah, fantastic. Give her a hand, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Penny. Does anyone else want to share? Everyone else too shy? Maybe day 2, you'll share. Okay, so now some people want to make extra money because they want their back shed to look like that. Hands up who wants their back shed to look like that. Whose shed already looks like that, right? I think that's drug money. Other people just want to make extra money so they can travel. Who here travels at least 4 times a year? Oh, see? What an amazing group. That's fantastic. What about 3 times a year? Excellent. Twice a year? Once a year? All of you should put once up because you're here now, right? You're in Vegas, right? So the thing is, it's about that, like, as I said, some people just want to travel, they want to experience life. You don't want to be, you know, hard grinding in a 9-to-5 job that you absolutely hate. And if you hate that job, you shouldn't be doing it. Or you should be planning in the next 2 years to get out of it and get into something that you really want to do, right? So other people want to take more family holidays. That's why I like making money, because I want to take family holidays. My youngest is 6 and my eldest is 16, and then I've got one in the middle. Right, and it's about like taking them to Disneyland and taking them, you know, in a helicopter ride through the Grand Canyon and just driving around the US on Route 66 and, you know, all of those fun things. Just seeing the faces, their faces, because I didn't want to go anywhere else in the world except America, right? So that's what gives me juice. That's what makes me wake up in the morning, is because of my family, right? But of course, I'm very grateful to Jamie in 21st Century because he's given me this amazing opportunity. So some people want to also just make money so they can give and help others. Who's in that position? You know, that's just a natural humankind thing we want to do, right, is imparted. You know, once you've paid off your own debt and you've made money yourself, it's so much nicer to actually help others out. With no money, all you can do is give them a hug, right? When you have a bit of money and you've got a bit of leverage, then you can help other people at a bigger level. Who just wants that? The car. I think she normally comes with a car. So, you know, that's what Jamie's got, the car, right? So, yeah, everything comes down to the way you think about money. And this is, I really love this. This is the universal belief quadrant. And what this means is when you have a solid belief, internal belief, an internal driving force of what you want, like, you know, it comes from an idea, like this place, Caesar's Palace. I came here 20 years ago and there was only one tower here. 20 years later, there's like 10. And the strip has extended, you know, it's monstrous, Las Vegas now, to what it was 20 years ago. So it was someone's belief or idea that they wanted to create. Now yours is creating family, generational wealth, so you can give to others, etc. Right? But you need to have that belief that this will work, that this can work for you. If you're going for cash flow positive strategies or if you're going for capital growth, you need to understand that and trust what we do. Right? You are here. The fact that you guys are here is, you know, a testament to what your internal belief system is already. You are the top, you know, 1-2%ers of our company. You are the people that have actually taken time out of your busy day, funded your trip just to get educated. Do you see how amazing that is? Already you are on a massive journey of growth. And who's really excited about learning? I dig it. I can't get enough of it. I don't like going to sleep because I'm afraid I'm going to miss out on something. Okay, so, but it's having that belief, having that internal driving force. So when you have a strong positive belief, then you tend to take more action, which what you've absolutely done right now. Then it goes into resources leverage. So that comes down to how much time and money that you can dedicate towards your strategy. Okay? Now, the amount of resources that you have access to will impact your results. Right? So when you've got a positive belief, you'll do something towards that. Like if it's trading, you'll start trading. You'll spend 2 hours a day learning charts or learning indicators. You'll take notes, you'll use your mentor, you'll continue to do the things you need to do. It's like when you start a business, you rock up, you do everything that you need to do and then you knock off, right? So the amount of time and money. Now, I remember when I first joined the home study back in 2006, and I was still in the military at that stage. I'd done 18 and a half years in the military at that stage. And I had young children and I had to be at work at 7:30 every morning and finish about 5:30. I would do my family wifey bit and then I would start studying the home. Jamie, like he was in my face, in my ear, in my car, on TV. My husband in the end, you know, was a bit annoyed about the whole thing because who's this skinny dude on this DVD that she keeps watching? And I pretty much solidly just did strategy after strategy after strategy for about 12 months. From ShareLord to Forex to E-minis, to Australian investment. I just went on a massive roller coaster of learning. And the more I learnt, the better I understood things. And when I started learning about taxation in particular, believe it or not, I'm really digging tax and I'm really digging US property. If you get onto Google now and you type in US property housing market and you just set up some Google alerts, right, to come into your email box, that's how you'll stay current. You know, when I pick up the phone and people ask about the membership or what they need to do, when you just tell them information, you know, knowledge is power, they say, but it's applied knowledge that is the power, right? It's actually taking action, moving towards whatever your initial goal is. So all of you have to set goals, remember, right? Remember, goals are short-term, they're revolving. So you've got to keep changing your goals, right? If you look at Richard Branson, and many of you came to the Financial Education Summit when we had Richard Branson there last year, he sets lots of mini goals. He achieves it, sets another, achieves it, sets another. The most successful people on the planet, that's exactly what they do. Towards your big long-term, your 5 or your 2 or your 5-year plan. Because remember, life is like, can disappear in an instant, can't it? You look at those poor Australians that died yesterday, day before in the Grand Canyon. You know, it was just a bad accident. They're over here for a holiday and they've they've lost their life. So taking action and doing whatever it is that you want, you really need to just take it by the short and curlies and just go for it, because life is too short. And that's why I absolutely saturate every second of my day with something, with life, with experiences. Sometimes I don't get much sleep, but I've lived, you know what I mean? And that's what I want you guys to do. This weekend will absolutely empower you. With the speakers that we've got, plus, the new US Property team, you're just going to learn so much. And if you don't know enough, then just go and bang on their door and just sit with them one-on-one, because you've got 3, or some of you got 8 days with them, okay? So, as I said, your results, then you'll start, you get your first property. So you may be thinking, okay, I want a property, I've only got, say, 20 grand or 30 grand. I'll go and speak to Joel, I'll get finance, I can get then a 60 grand house, right? That's the action you're taking, and the results you're getting are then you're going to get this nice flow of long-term cash flow, right? If the property doesn't go up, who cares? You're going to get, most of you are getting already 15, 17, 18, 20% returns on some houses, right? So that will support or challenge your initial belief system. Now, if it's negative, it's going to challenge it, isn't it? Because then it'll go, I'll try it, but I don't think it'll work. So you won't take any action, you won't do any movement towards your goal, and when it fails, you go, told you it wouldn't work. That's a negative belief system. So we are here to teach you to instill that positive mindset, even when you find that there are challenges, right? So what? Life's full of challenges. Don't keep hitting your head against a brick wall. If you don't get the answer from one person, go to another person, go to another person. And with 21st century, eventually, if someone can't come through, you come to us direct. We're pretty fast with our email responses, right? Or you can just ring the office. We pride ourselves in our customer service, because I like to be treated the way that I was once treated when I first came to 21st century. And so does Joel, and so does Jamie. So it's beneficial for us as a group. Now, when I showed my husband this house the other day, he's going, oh, that's a bit ugly. I said, we're not going to live in it, hun. Right, so this is the second purchase I made. But this is good. This is a duplex. It's got two houses, 2 little houses there. But that only cost me $50,000, and that returns, nearly 18%. So I'm happy. My plan is to get 10 of these in the next, year or so. That's the plan, right? Some people have already got way more than me, some clients. And the hardest thing for us at 21st century, Joel's list comes out, you guys get it, you guys lock them down, and then they're done. So not always can myself, Jamie, Kartik, get hold of these properties, because you guys are pretty much taking them off the table, right? So, the idea is to build a property portfolio. So here are some of these are the main team that work in the Australian office, right? We have Joel Dobson, who I'll bring him up shortly. Where has he gone? He must be here soon. Sonny's Sonny. Has anyone spoken to Sonny or had interaction with Sonny? He works tirelessly, and he does all your admin, goes through your due diligence, back and forth paperwork, etc. Kartik Gupta, he also outsources some of our properties, and he also is a financial analyst for the company and for the group. So 21st Century is the parent company, and then we've got 13 other companies that sit under that. So Kartik's job is to make sure all the numbers across the company and the group, 21st Century Group, are all sound. So we're going to bring up Warren after lunch. Now, Warren has spent 10 years in the ATO. He's also a qualified lawyer and accountant, and believe it or not, he's an accomplished pianist. And our last workshop, we rolled in an electronic piano, and he did this full-on Liberace number. I was actually quite surprised. So maybe he'll do that for you tonight, I don't know. But he's going to talk to you about the tax structures, right, investing in the US, talking about the setup of the limited liability companies, self-managed super funds. So for those of you who want to do that, you've got the opportunity to do that. He's travelling with you guys as well. So anything to do with accounting and tax, that's who you speak to directly, and he'll have appointment sheets where you guys can just sit down one-on-one. Now, this is our US property manager team. So Ben Walls, you may have seen him on the DVDs. He spoke at the last event. Tyler, he's also here. Rihanna's not here, unfortunately, but the two men will come up after me and go through the nitty-gritty right? My job is just to thread this through for you. Their job is to actually show you and talk to you in depth and in great detail, so you need to take a lot of notes when they come out. Ask them lots of questions, specifically about your own properties, stuff like that. So they'll be here to teach the entire event. Right, so when we look at the US property, like these are the stats. Many of you, as I said, already know that the houses that we have, usually you don't have to settle until you get the tenants in them. Right, most of the properties have gone from 250 down to 50,000. Now, I'm not going to give you a global economic update because that's what Jamie's going to do after lunch. Right, so buying without leaving Australia, many people have. You know, you guys have come over for a tax-deductible holiday, but also to have a look at future properties. But maybe the next trip you won't need to come. If you want to travel with us, we plan to come every, year or so, right, and probably in Vegas, right, because it's central, it's a great place to be. Jamie loves it here, and I love it here. Who loves it here? This place is just crazy, and it doesn't close. That can be to our detriment sometimes. So, but it's a really great place. It's a great country. I love this country. If you look at our country, right, I love our country, of course, and NZ Kiwis, of course, because I'm part Māori. But they've got 308 million people in this little country, right? And we've got, 20 million. So they've got 308 million, and we've got 20 million. So there's so many people, there's so many houses, right? We're not going to run out of houses because the boys are going to keep travelling around. And as some of you already know, they've already started to source properties in Dallas, Texas, which is great. So when we look at Australian versus US property, we're not saying that don't buy Australian property because it's always done well for us, always, right? We have strong capital appreciation in our country, right? However, we obviously know the reason that we're buying US property is because of the massive saving and because of these three things. One, the reason why we invest in US property is because of the capital appreciation. So it's at its lowest level. Already, the people that purchased in Phoenix, Arizona 2 years ago, some of them have flipped their properties and made 30, 40, 50 grand on those. Some of them have already had an 8% increase in property values already. So Phoenix was an area that we don't really invest in as much anymore, and the boys will go through that. Foreign exchange, the currency fluctuation between the Australian dollar and the US dollar makes it perfect for us to actually get into US property right now. And Kartik will go through that and give you a spreadsheet and a table of the differences of buying in Australian and US dollars. Plus the high cash flow and the rental appreciation. So as I said, like my property I've got, my first one I bought was in Missouri. The next one I bought was in Indianapolis, purely because the numbers were stronger. And all I did is look at the numbers, right? I had the building inspection done, got the insurance, and then started receiving the rent. It was very painless, right? There was one little hitch where one tenant moved out and I had to wait a couple of weeks, but I was happy with that because I still had a paying tenant. Right, so, and then they've signed a 12-month lease. So I'm happy with that, so I'll just keep moving towards that. The biggest risk when people go, oh yeah, but it's so risky. Risky compared to what? Risk is not being educated. That's your biggest risk in life, is not knowing, because people do go on eBay or they get to find cheap properties, or they'll just Google cheap properties. They'll take a trip over and they'll try and do it all themselves, and then that's when they get in trouble, right? And you've heard many stories of people getting in trouble. Or they'll buy in. People will say, well, why aren't you buying there? I've heard this. There's plenty of places to buy. We may get there. There's a lot of states to buy. But if we've already got good properties coming in from where we're at, well, then the guys they live here, they know where to buy, and we trust that because they buy all our homes, okay? So these are the three main things. And if you want a long-term positive cash flow for life, then go for those states. And Joel will cover those states. Now, you've seen all of these stats before. It crashed, all-time history low. Over 7 million homes were foreclosed. So that created nearly 300,000 foreclosures per month. So that's really actually hard to imagine. Imagine wherever you live in Australia, just say you live in Melbourne or Sydney and the average market rental is around 500,000, and then suddenly, through no fault of your own except bad government and bad decisions and bad banking, merging commercial and investment banks together, right? Suddenly your $500,000 house is now worth only maybe $100,000, So in this country, people it's called jingle mail. They can just drop the keys and walk away because there's no way they can pay the banks back. That's why the banks collapse. No one can pay them. In Australia, though, if that happened, we don't get to walk away, do we? We have to pay it off. And some people are already in those positions now in some states in Australia where their house is, their mortgage is higher than what their house is worth, which is really depressing. And it is sad. It's a sad state of affairs. And Jamie will go deeply into that this afternoon. So there's a strong swing towards rentals. People say, what happens if the market changes? Now, what have we got coming up in the next month or so here in the US? The election, right? So understanding and just researching all of this information, and especially here, it's on the news, you watch the debates that went on for the last couple of days. Like, I didn't know much about Romney until recently, just listening to the debates, right? And it's pretty touch and go, isn't it? It's pretty close. No, it's not, it's not a landslide win for one party. So it'll be interesting to see what changes. And it's being understanding that sort of information and keeping on top of it, which will help you make a better decision where you buy or what you're going to do. Now, who believes that the US market will increase? Yeah, who doesn't? Who thinks it's got further to drop? Who's sort of unsure? Yeah, no one can predict it. No one knows. But there are a lot of indicators. I'll show you a few articles in a second. There are a lot of indicators that are predicting the movement towards positive growth in the housing market. It's not sharp, but it's increased already. So already construction has increased by 26% since last year. So that means more people buy and building their houses, which gives that market sentiment. And when there's consumer confidence, that's when people will start having faith and start investing. Now, but there's also a massive increase in offshore investors, us. This whole country knows that we have boatloads of Aussies coming and buying their houses. They know that already, okay? Not only us, Europe and everybody else is doing that as well. So let's listen to what our mate has to say. I think he's coming up shortly. So if you just have a look at these are like, I think this is September 10, right? You can Google now, housing on the mend, but the full recovery is far off. Investors cash in on land deals as US market picks up. Right, as I said, staying familiar with what's going on. The US market is starting to recover and home prices will see modest growth this year and next, says a Reuters poll. Numbers improving US housing market growth. So as you read, the more you familiarise yourself with current news, you'll see that there is an increase. And by getting in now, buying low and selling high, that's what we teach, right? Not the opposite. We want to do the opposite of everyone else. And once the banks start lending back to the locals, that's when, we'll have to sort of modify our strategy, right? The beautiful thing about Jamie is he is an innovator. His vision is enormous, and it actually blows me away. His vision for the next 5 years for 21st Century and for our members. And I don't think we've got any natural competitors within our business because he changes strategies all the time, because he stays current. He spends half the time overseas learning from his personal mentors. He goes to different sessions, he pays big money to sit with different people just to see and learn what they do to predict where we should head next time. So that's why this US property model, we got into this a little later, probably a year after the majority of Australian companies got in. And there was a reason for that, because you need to test, there's teething problems that you have with every strategy, right? So we learn a lot off other people and what they do. And by hooking up with a team that's actually on the ground living here, that work with us, that's what makes it so much easier. Because it's not just education that you're receiving, but you're getting the whole service of everything. All right, so as I said, here we've got a national composite was at 1.2 in the second quarter. This is just of home prices, and then there's the home price index, right? So you can see the dip at 208, and then it's bounced back and it started to recover in 2012. Okay, so now for the next couple of minutes, I'm just going to run through what your membership covers, because some of you are brand new. Some of you guys have only sort of enrolled like a month before a month, and in some cases only a couple of weeks ago. So some of you have got a basic membership which entitles you to one property, okay? And the 3-city tour, the DVDs and the manual, and Jamie's home study plus this boot camp. Now, others of you, many of you in the room are platinum members, which means you're entitled to as many properties in a 3-year period. So if you're a basic member and you want to upgrade during this trip, just see Joel or one of the guys at the back of the room, because the platinum, as I said, It's $5,000 for the basic and 10 for the platinum membership. And if you just upgrade, then you don't have to pay that ongoing sourcing fee for properties. And like most of you, you've started with one property. A month later, you're then looking at your next one. Now, many people in the room have got 3 already, okay, because they've just started off. Now, the fee that you're paying for is these sort of things. It's the education that we're providing you, and it's the due diligence that we do for all of the homes. So we buy the houses in the best areas, and that's what the guys are going to come and cover up shortly. And they'll renovate them if they're required. So if your house needs renoing, they'll fix the white areas, they'll paint it, slap on some carpet, okay, and they'll find the tenants for you. This saves you doing it. Now, the tenants are in place, and some people have managed to get up to 21% gross rental yields. Some people have got properties from as low as, there was a property sold the other day off the website for $31,000, and then when I looked at it the next day, it was under contract, so I didn't even have a chance to lock down some of those. So, you may want a mixed gamut around the country. You might want one in Dallas, one in Phoenix, or a couple in, Indianapolis, whatever it is. So once you've got one, you need that momentum. You need to keep going and figure out. The hardest thing that you'll do is you'll go, okay, how can I become creative enough to find where I can get more cash injections? That's all it's about. It's about being creative, and we teach that at 21st Century, is thinking creatively. How can I get more properties? Not that, oh God, I want more, I can't do it. Of course, that's your belief system. You just ask the ask, say, how can I do this? When you ask it in a different way, then you receive different answers, and suddenly things appear. Who's done that? They've thought like that, and suddenly money's appeared or something's happened. It creates a really smooth path for you. Now, call it the law of attraction, call it God, call it Tao, whatever you want to call it. But you've got to call it, righto? Because that's what actually brings things to you. Okay, so comprehensive due diligence. So the guys do all of that for you. Access to finance. Now, Joel's going to give you some really awesome information about a new finance model that we've got here in the US, which follows along the lines of what Buffett just spoke about then. A complete property management and record keeping, access to our Aussie accountants, and $5,000 off each property for the members, and no stamp duty. So the property managers, the property suppliers, access to building inspectors. See, this is the stuff that people that, unlike you, would have to go off and do themselves. Right? This is a pretty big job. If you're an Australian investor and you weren't using the services of a company like ours, you'd have to go and do all this. Where would you go? You wouldn't even know the first step to going to. And many of us are busy, right? We don't have time to actually hunt all these people down. I like a nice, convenient, smooth transaction, and that's why I use Joel and Sunny to do that. So access to US lawyers, Australian accountants, set up your bank accounts. Now, while you're here, like I'm with Wells Fargo, but Buffett owns, 40% of Wells Fargo? So I know that I have to actually go to the bank while I'm here and sign off the signatory here, which is perfect because I get to do some of my admin while I'm in country, right? So if you guys need to do that as well, sit with Joel, Ben, ask them the questions you need to take to the bank. If you've got your account numbers, if you didn't bring them, just find your email, research your email, just search Wells Fargo or whatever bank you're using, because some of you are using different banks over here. Setting up your employer identification number, Joel will discuss that. And also organising whether you want to use Aussie funds, whether it's line of credit, self-managed super fund, or US finance. So it's just a matter of how can you do this. And as I said, we can set that up. Now, you'll also get access to the members area. Now, you would have received an email, and if you didn't, you can just shoot us an email. Our business cards are in the folder. This will be updated, this gets updated regularly. Now the new footage, which will be available in the next maybe 4 to 6 weeks, right? Once Daniel goes home, cuts it, edits it, splices it and puts it up onto here. Who hasn't been in here yet? A couple of people, right? So you can just email us, we'll resend you the link. But I want you to familiarise yourself. Now, if you have bought different programs, they'll usually be highlighted up the front here, right? So the home study membership, log in. Dell, doesn't matter. Okay, I won't be able to go through that, but let's go back through the main page here, which is, so you've got the home study manual, you've got the properties, you've got the events, resources, all the resources you need. And as I said, these will be replaced with the new home study and the new content. So then you can just watch. This is Jamie at the last one. Okay, so plus you'll get these new glossy manuals that we'll create from this event. So this information is 18 months out of date or old, right? A lot has changed, so that's why we film every 18 months or so to keep the content current, right? But you can also go into the property website, okay? Because in the property website, you can, or even from the members area, you can just click on the properties that are listed and you can see the ones that are available, right? Or the ones that are under contract. It's so amazing now that there seems to be more red, which means we need our suppliers to continue to bring us good properties, right? Because we have set KPIs for the company, Jamie has KPIs for the team, and we have KPIs for the suppliers. So we don't want to run out of properties, so it's in their best interest to find us and source us the good properties and bring them to us. So feel free anytime just to go in there, click on there, and then just find out about them. Because some that are under contract, usually, like mine was only under contract for about 14 days. I think I settled my first one within 14 days, and the second one was about 28 days. So some people fall off, right? And sometimes this website, because some of you would have already received different spreadsheets of the properties, and you've just rang up and said, look, yeah, I want this one. Unless you're a quick decision maker, the property will go. You know what I mean? That's just how it runs. You know, I know a lot of people get upset about, oh, I really wanted that, but, you know, so do a lot of other people. And those people are in a cash position or can lock down a deposit for these houses. Obviously, it's first in, best dress. It's just like an auction. You know, they're not going to wait for the person to make a decision. Whoever's got the money, whoever's ready to go, whoever's organised. So if you're going to be organised in 3 months' time, then set a time goal to be ready in 3 months' time to inject into your first property, and then just go from there. Once you get the ball started, it'll just keep rolling from there. So has anyone got any questions about the members area? Yeah?
Is there an actual address accessible?
You would have got an email, your welcome email.
Actual address for each property?
Most of them they are. So it doesn't have the street number. Look, so let's just click on East 42. Right, and all it doesn't give you the exact number of the house, but it gives you the street name, okay?